Welcome back to I-86 After Dark, everybody. And of course, you got me, the Ginger Hammer, you got Buffalo Bob, and we are pleased to have former Bills and Broncos defensive tackle from UCLA, Mike Lodish, six-time Super Bowl appearance. Mike, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Hey man, it's fun to get on with the Bills Mafia. It's always a pleasure. Things are great. Thank you for asking. I hope you guys are well as well, and all the Mafia as well, and everybody. Marv Levy said this to us when we were going on our run for the four Super Bowls that I was part of here. One more river. It's one more river to cross. And that was the motto of every game going into that game only and not to think about anything but that game. And actually, Marv would actually sing it, and it was rather humorous, but
Awesome.
it was awesome. But things are good.
Very good, cool, and yeah, we certainly appreciate you coming on tonight as well. And we wanted to get in a little bit to your football career, and
Sure.
certainly talk about your time in the league. And one of the
Yeah.
things, of course, a lot of people love to ask, and I'm sure you get this question every so often, is where did you get your start in playing football, and how did you become interested in the game?
Well, if that okay, so that's a great question. So my father, who's passed on 420 of 2024, he was 86 years old, 85 and a half. He's going to be 86 in September. And he played a full scholarship to Notre Dame in 1955. And my grandfather was tried out for the Olympic swim team back in the way day, right? Way back in the early 1900s. Um, so I come from this lineage of athletes, but really the toughest person in my family is my mother, probably. My father was a big, strong man, played football, and kind of like I knew that. And we'd play a little bit when I was little. I actually started when I was in sixth grade, but I only played one game. We played this bull in the ring game, I remember in sixth grade, and I beat everybody because I was so much bigger and stronger than everybody. No one could compete with me, and it was boring. I was actually a hockey player my whole life. I played
Interesting.
hockey from the time I was 3 years old to the time I was 17, every single year on an organized team. And then I played one more year of football in seventh grade, only just played one game. Again, didn't like it, ran over people. It was just, this is too easy. Hockey's harder for me. I want to do hockey. Maybe it was more of a challenge. But so basically, I really got into football in eighth grade at 13, but I was heavy. I couldn't make the weight for most of the games. But when I was 14 years old is when I started, and I went to a school called Brother Rice High School, where our historic and epic high school football coach, Alfred Costa, just passed away at 92 years young. Mentor, Christ driven, if you're religious, just a all around incredible disciplinarian, hard Italian, old school Italian. His parents are right off the boat, and his brothers all spoke Italian, and he had three brothers, and he passed. But that's where I really got my love to play football.
Awesome.
Because you guys know high school, and if you go to a good high school football game, there could be
Mhm.
5 to 10,000 people there,
Oh yeah.
and that's pretty epic for those kids at that age, right?
Oh yeah.
And at Brother Rice, we were state champions every other year for 10 years straight. I mean, we dominated people. I was in the USA Today in high school my junior year. We were number three in the country. And then my senior year, we were top 20, but we had lost one game. So I only lost one game in high school. So
That's pretty damn impressive, honestly. I mean, for a guy who is naturally gifted as a hockey player and then play high school football and only play one game and then going from that point on, that's just ludicrous. I mean,
no, when I say one game, meaning I started my freshman year in high school to
Mhm.
play football, like full pads, every
Yeah.
practice, every game. That's when my career started. But
Okay.
I basically, so if I confuse you, sorry, I played one game in
Oh, that's
sixth
okay.
grade, didn't like it. One game in seventh grade, didn't like it. In eighth grade, that's when I got started at 13 years old. But I was heavy, like I said, and I didn't make the weight, so I couldn't
For
play in
sure.
half the game. So I really didn't play a full season, right? And I just was dabbling with my toes in the water. When I was 14, that's when it kicked in. That's when football kicked in and I became a defensive lineman. And we had so many guys on the team, you only went one way. And I played one position. And I didn't play special teams because we let the other guys play in the game to play the special teams. So that's when I got my start. That's when and then the school I went to, the high school I was telling you was Brother Rice,
Mhm.
our coach passed. That was a football factory. We had won state championships since 1970, 74, 76, 80, 83 was my year. 90, the 92, I mean, we were always very competitive, right?
Mhm.
And the aura about football and then our coach, the magnitude of what he did for the game at a high school level. I mean, this guy was prepared. And he had a D coordinator that gave us a game plan every game that was 15 pages deep, 8 by
Wow.
11. Yeah. And his name was Ron Kelzinski. And I only play defense. And I gave my high school coach a plug. Now I got to give my D coordinator a plug. Ron
Absolutely.
Kelzinski and my D line coach, Norm Prozac, in high school were the guys that catapulted me into the game and gave me a taste of the milk, if you will, of what it means to be a D lineman and play. And my D coordinator, Ron Kelzinski, he was just humorous as all hell. I don't want to imitate him because you won't appreciate it because you haven't seen it. But if you saw it, the coaching that I had from the very beginning was miraculous. It was magnificent. And then I went to UCLA back when I was going to go to Michigan. I decommitted. And then I went to UCLA. But back to your question to close it out, it's from my dad's side. That's where the
Very cool.
football came from. So, and
Absolutely.
that's where the Serbian, Polish size came from. The refrigerator type block body,
Yep.
just strong, not shredded, but just watch out for this boy. He's strong as hell, and sure enough, and I didn't look 275. I looked about 250. So I'd go to a carnival and I'd
Mhm.
always have a stuffed animal for my girl because they could never guess my weight.
Right.
So I hide it. And that's what was my issue when I got in. I was undersized, right? They thought, but because of my speed, quickness, and strength and tenacity and motor, it helped me to develop into a professional. So that's where
Damn.
I know we kind of bounced around there, but it got
Yeah.
started in high
All good.
school, and that's just what happens. So
Yeah. So Jim Kelly one time brought up an interesting comment when he first got drafted into the NFL because he came out of the University of Miami in Florida. He said he outright refused to play for the Bills until the USFL closed. And I'm sure you've heard that story a handful of times. But going
yeah,
to your draft day, it's a two-part question. How did you
yeah.
find out you got drafted by the Bills? And did you have a preference of where you wanted to play? Because you're a Michigan guy. You wanted to grow up playing
No,
for the Lions
no.
and things like that.
Again, I was an undersized D lineman. I was an all Pac-10 player. I wasn't an all-American. We were a little overlooked because my senior year we went 3-7-1.
Mhm.
I had some very good games. I was I was a consistent player. I was always getting in the mix. I was showing up on film, but to answer your question, where was I? How did I know I got picked by the Bills, etc. Right?
Yes.
Well, after my junior year at UCLA, Troy Aikman's senior year, I thought I might have an opportunity, right? I started seeing the light at the end of the tunnel to try to make it. And so I turned the motor on about a year before I got drafted. And in my senior year, even though I went 3-7-1, I was told that I was going to go in the third and fourth round, right? So you asked how I knew it. Well, first day didn't get drafted. I was pissed off, just pissed off. I was with my dad, and I was at his house. Him and my mom had been divorced at that time, and I was at the draft at his house. And it was I was like, those motherfuckers lied to me, those agents. So and I don't mean to swear, but you
No,
said it
you're
was a
good.
No, you're good.
oh,
You're good.
so but the best news is gonna come the next day. So the next day I get up. I don't even remember how well I slept or how bad I slept or whatever, but I was fucking pissed. And I got out the next day and just started chipping golf balls, just little like 30-yard, 40-yard chippers in a can, trying just getting my mind off of this shit. Because now I started thinking, you're not going, buddy. You're too small. You guys sucked. We were 3-7-1. Out of the 7 games we lost 5 games by a total of 12 points. So we were in there every, these games, and we just came up short. We needed one more impact player to win in school, and maybe my draft would have changed. However, God works for a reason. And the phone rang, and Marv Levy answered. I answered the phone, and I said, hello, and Marv Levy answered the phone. And this is the honest to God truth. And my father almost had a heart attack, but I said, what the blank took you so long? To the head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
This is, I swear on my life. Okay.
wow.
And my dad looks at me, and I was so pissed off. I instantly had the chip on my shoulder. And so that's when I knew I was going 10th round. And I wanted to give you that little caveat to chew on, right? And then I said, who's the D-line coach, and send me the playbook. Those are the 3 things I said.
Nice.
And to this day, I'm like, you're an idiot, right? Why did you do that? I don't know. I just did it. I was so pissed. And I don't brag about that story, but it is a humorous story if you can see the humor in it as a
Yeah.
young kid. And then I came in, and ironically that year, you guys, if you recall, maybe you were born, maybe you weren't, probably weren't. We were the Bickering Bills back in 1989, 88 and 89. Just everybody in the locker room was cancer, pissed off. Everybody was good, though. They were really, really good. When I came in my rookie year, man, wow, what a football team. 6 yellow jackets on that team, 5 to 6. And like I said, I was next to Bruce Smith. And this guy's the best pass rusher in the world in the history of the game right now, period. He is number 1. The best D lineman, I would say, though, if I'm picking one D lineman, is Reggie White.
Oh, yeah.
Because he could pass rush and dominate the run. So could Bruce, but Bruce wanted to pass rush. He didn't want to dominate the run. But he could. He'd
Gotcha.
dominate people, just throw them around like they were ragdolls.
I remember seeing some of that when I was a kid too, and just loving watching those games and
Oh,
all of that.
it was impressive. And I was right there watching it, like it was, and I watched and I listened to him say it to the person that he was going to do it to and do it.
Nice.
That's the best part. When you talk the talk and then you walk the walk, right?
Mhm.
That's the best.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just shit talking 101 right there.
Well, yeah, I
It's
mean, you're
awesome.
literally teammates with Bruce Smith, so of course you were going to see his, master craftsmanship at that point.
Master craftsmanship. It was like precision. You would
Mhm.
see him do this step and quick and spin thing, and it was so effortless and smooth. The tackle was all twisted around like a top. It was unbelievable. It's like Reggie's hump. Have you ever seen Reggie do the hump and knock a guy off his feet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, that hump is no joke now. That's a bad boy right there. Whew. Those 2
definitely.
cats right there, 1 and 2 and 2 and 1. Reggie and Bruce, the best ever. That duo, dynamic duo.
Yep.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they deserve to be in Canton regardless of
Oh
what
no, dude,
anybody
they
says.
deserve to be at the top of Canton. Right? They're at that level, you guys. Like
Mhm.
serious level. And Jim and Andre and all the other guys. Is Cornelius a yellow jacket? I don't think so, is he?
I don't think he is.
No, and I'm surprised because he dominated games too now.
Right. He
Cornelius
was
Bennett.
great.
I'm surprised that he hasn't even been talked about for a nomination, to be quite honest with you.
Right. I
Yeah.
mean, the work he did and the way that he impacted games, I mean, he deserves to be there. And I'll throw another one out there too. Steve Tasker with his work on special
Oh yeah, no
teams.
doubt. No doubt. That's going to be coming, I think. I think Steve, I think is this I don't follow football since I've been retired because I do other things, now, and
Yeah.
just kind of it's like the next chapter in your life kind of thing, and you want to do something different. But Sevy was Stasker. We used to call him Sevy. Somehow he got a nickname Sevy Ballesteros, who was a pro golfer back in the 80s and 90s. And he was pretty good. Like he was in the Masters and all that stuff. But he got the nickname Sevy. So I always call him Sevy. And he's still the same guy he was back then. The biggest problem that makes me sad because of the talent that we had is we couldn't get our locker room right. We couldn't. And that was the root of it all. And yeah, I'm not going to name any names or say any things,
Sure.
but look, when you have that kind of talent, it's hard to curb that ego. And how do you do that?
Right.
You got to do it with an iron fist, to be honest with you, like Don Shula. Like this is a privilege for you to wear this uniform, sir, young man. Don't fuck it up. And
Yeah.
even would say
Right.
that to a Dan Marino, right? Or a
Mhm.
Shula was like the iron jaw Shula. He was hard as hell, man. His practices were terrible. Like Wednesday and Thursday was harder than Sunday.
Wow.
That's
He,
why it
he he
lasted
wanted
so
everybody
long.
ready.
No, he beat the shit out of his team. But
Mhm.
early in the season, they were better because their timing was better because they were always going full speed, right?
Right.
It's all timing now. This is time. It's about time, right? Movement and time and physics.
Mhm.
It's time. So if I can move simultaneously with that center, I have a much better chance not to get blocked. So anyway,
But he's a
Absolutely.
hell of a coach, though. No question about Don Shula
yeah.
whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look, but you remember herding cats is the hardest thing in the world, and we were just a big litter of cats, right? Everybody
Mhm.
had their own ego and they wanted to do their own thing. And that was the thing about Buffalo. And that was the difference in Denver. And I'm not trying to, shit on my boys. I mean, I love everybody I played with. We
Yeah.
did a lot of good stuff, man. And I was with some pretty badass teams.
Yeah.
But the chemistry in the locker room in Denver was way different. Way
Oh
different.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like the culture of it.
Mhm.
And but I love Ralph Wilson too. What a great guy he was, you guys.
Yeah.
He was a
Absolutely.
local guy. We both grew up in Detroit together. He's a Grosse Pointe guy, East Side guy,
Mhm.
and I was in the Midwest, Birmingham area, and then farther west is like Brighton and South Lyon. You guys don't know what that means, but people in Michigan that listen will know what that means. So and I grew up in Michigan. I played in California and then Buffalo and Denver, and then I
Yep.
came home. So that was my route.
Some
Went to
good
Europe
stuff.
a few times with the pro teams. We played in England and Germany and
Mhm.
Australia. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I missed the year. We went to Mexico City. I was out of camp for 2 weeks. I finished a contract, and they got a better guy after my seventh year. And the last year of my contract was the year I started, where I got to run out for Denver and get my name
Mhm.
announced and all that. And they went out and replaced me, but a guy got injured, and I got called back 2 weeks into training camp that year, and then we won two Super Bowls. So how crazy is
Wow.
that? It's just, and then I played 2 more years, or 4 more years actually.
What comes around
Yeah.
goes around, brother. That's
Well, I don't know. I asked God, I said I was such a fuck up when I was younger. Why'd you give me all that? Like, I
Right.
don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not going to question that again. You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
run with it and
Sure.
try to do something with the gift, right? And doing stuff like this and giving back to you guys and talking to you about stories and
Yeah.
dudes, that's priceless, man,
Yeah. It's awesome stuff. And yeah, we're certainly glad to talk with you about some of your stories today too. And one of the things I actually wanted to ask is of course, you went to six Super Bowls and
Yeah.
you've had the ability to win, you've lost some, but how did you handle the pressure of being on those teams that had those championship expectations every year?
Well, I was fortunate and grateful, number one, right? Because at that time, Tampa Bay wasn't very good. So you could have been on Tampa's squad, but the white, the creamsicle outfit, and you're not winning. You're down in 96 degrees and you're getting your asses kicked and you suck. You're making money and you're in Florida, but it's not the same. When you play a game, you want to win the game. And if you
Right.
don't want to win the game, I don't want you on my team. Right? You're out, period. So I was extremely fortunate, extremely humbled to, like I said, to be able to sit next to one of the greatest players of all time, right? And a line mate of mine, right? a meeting room mate of mine.
Yeah.
I was in. That's like being in SEAL Team 6, right? There's like 6 guys on a squad
Hmm.
or a team or 7 guys, and I'm one of 8 D linemen on the team. And we
Yep.
tried out 14, and I made the cut. It's like it's kind of sweet, and so, but the feeling of being on a great team was so humbling. But what motivated me was, wait a minute, why am I here now? What? And I got into not the philosophical part of it or the Christ part of it. God gave me the gift. I was like, no, dude, you're actually pretty good. And you belong here with these guys. And you've played against Jim Lachey, Jumbo Elliott, some big offensive linemen in the league in preseason of this first month of training camp, let's say 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, dude, you can play. Don't doubt yourself. I doubted myself. I was insecure. I was like, why am I? I had feelings. Because it was so much in my heart. I wanted to be there so badly. And I was questioning myself. I was like, no, no. And Cornelius came up to me one time. He said, and Whacker, Daryl Talley was the best man. Daryl was a cool dude. So, like any other game, but it wasn't any other game. And that was the difference between Buffalo and Denver. The boys in Buffalo wanted to get out and have a good time. And we didn't have curfew for 4 days. Can't do that. Not at that game. And they thought because they were and we were real, I'm talking 1990 now, the national anthem, Whitney Houston, the whole deal, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we only had 1 week before the game, too, not 2 weeks this year, right? And we hung in there, but the karma got us because everybody wanted to party and you asked how we prepare. Well, I prepared the same way every time. And I was superstitious. I put my pants on the same way, and I would do all my stuff Monday, workout Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would be the same routine. Be in at 7 o'clock for meetings. You're out of there and Wednesday, Thursday by 5, going back to the hotel, playing video games with the boys or pool or whatever, seeing your family, whatever. But that was it. Trying to enjoy a little bit of the week of the Super Bowl as well, too, right? To take it in and not keep it out altogether, because it's impossible when you get to that game to keep it out. And then just to be on the field at the right time, do my same routine that I normally would do 4 hours before a game, prepare mentally during the week with film and memorization of the game plan and making sure I don't blow a call, going through calls in the hotel room myself or having my roommate test me, just so when you get your shot, boys, if you aren't on full cylinders, on point as a backup now, remember, you're always evaluated. You're not Bruce Smith.
Hmm.
It's a different world. You have to be accountable for every single play of your career. Whereas Bruce wants to be accountable for every play. And if he gets screwed up on your eye, whatever, I'll get you again. I might not have another one. They might, after that game, they might say, you're done. You're not good enough. We're replacing you. You never know. And that's, I think, also to the question of how I prepared was I was wired all the time. I was a motor guy all the time. And I wouldn't stop and I would go hard. I wouldn't go hard in practice without pads. I'm not, you're gonna get in trouble that way, and
Yeah.
guys are gonna beat you up purpose, you'd be stupid to do that, right? But when it's time and I get a chance and I can pin my ears back, I'm coming 100%. There's 100% effort 100% of the time. And you're not going to have the same 100% effort in the first quarter like the last quarter, but that's where you can be in really good shape so that you can be pretty good in the fourth quarter and not beat down, right? That's the other part of preparation for me was I was in shape all the time. I was running, doing cardio, and in the gym religiously. I
So,
had
in
to.
other words, you were the Energizer Bunny.
Correct. To some
Nice.
degree. To some degree, if you want to give me that nickname, I'll take it, but respectfully, but yeah, in other words, I couldn't risk brother-in-law. It was the term that we used to just kind of chill. And when I knew it wasn't a full speed drill, I wasn't going full speed, right?
Yeah.
But during full speed drills, I'm coming with everything I got. And I was pretty strong, and I was pretty athletic, and I was pretty flexible. So, if I could, with physics now, if I could get up underneath you quick and I have the right technique, you're not going to beat me, right? And even at
Right.
the highest level. So that's the way it was. But I got beat often, everybody beats everybody.
Mhm.
That's a fair examination of
Yeah.
that. I mean,
You get, everybody gets paid, so
Right.
they're there.
well, the motto in my life is, in my own philosophy is that you're only a loser if you don't try. And just based on that alone, I think I can't respect enough about what you just said, because you came in from the bottom, you worked you
Yeah,
worked your ass off, and then
yeah,
here you are now on a
you had to,
talking to two dudes on the street, which is kind
yeah,
of
you could,
interesting.
right. You couldn't take for a guy like me, and I liked it that way because it
Mhm.
pissed me off. It was like, no, we're gonna dangle the carrot in front of you, but you're gonna have to earn it,
Yep.
right? It wasn't like I had the skill of Bruce or Thurman or Terrell Davis or like a Steve Atwater. Oh my God. You want to talk about a guy that could deliver a lick?
Mhm.
Oh, oh, 6'3" and 230 and all shredded. Chink, chink, chink. And the nicest guy in the world. Nicest guy in the
Nice.
world. Nicest dude you'd ever meet. Good Southern brother, sweetheart of a guy. You'd want your sister or daughter to marry a guy like that. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
Very
you
cool.
know. So
absolutely. But I actually do have a very minor question about the Broncos, because you've obviously won with them and you played with
yeah.
guys like Steve Atwater. How would you describe Bill Romanowski? Because I've heard a lot of stories about him.
Well, let me ask you this. If you are the stories that you've heard all very similar?
It depends. I've heard some good ones and I've heard some bad ones. I've also seen
Well,
him in some of his Hollywood acts, like in like The Longest
well,
Yard or something like that.
well, again, that's acting, right? So that's not Bill Romanowski. But I'm going to say this about Bill Romanowski. This is, remember what I told you about the
Yep.
questions I was going to kind of divert from?
Yep.
Yes.
This is going to be very good for Bill because he's earned it with me, but I'm going to just keep it tight.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you this. Bill was a unique player, very unique. But Bill kept me in the league because of some of the remedies that he brought to the Denver Broncos. Acupuncture. This guy Roscoff, his last name. He
Mhm.
was this body manipulator that helped you because when you get like a little lower sciatic and you get all thrown out because you're throwing a guy and you twist your vertebrae and you pinch a nerve or you
Mhm.
know he brought these guys in for this holistic medicine. I want to holistic's not the right word. Functional medicine, functional
Okay.
therapy, a massage therapist, this Greg Roscoff. He's on my Facebook page. He's a great guy. He's bald headed now, but if it wasn't for Romo bringing this guy in, my year 9, 10, 11, 10 and 11 would have been non-existent. And then Romo did help me with some supplements because at that time I was getting older now
Mhm.
and I was getting tired of working out like I used to. You could start to feel like you're still young and strong, but you're not. And I knew that at the end. And I saw Bill Romanowski get ragdolled against the Ravens, and I saw the guy in front of me, Trucker, who's a friend of mine, Keith Trailer, who they replaced me with in '96, in '97. Remember, I told you I wasn't playing?
Yeah.
It was Keith Trailer, and that guy was a stud. Absolutely, he was better than me for sure. But I went to the Ravens game, my last game of my career,
Mhm.
and there was dudes 6'8", 350, and I was like, I can't play football anymore. I got to get off this field. Like, I'm not going to tell you I was scared, but I was like, okay, here we go. Fuck it.
Sure.
If I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get hurt. And luckily I didn't, and we lost, and I ran off that field. I was like, I'm done. I'm done playing pro football. It's over. And so I hope that answered your question in
Yeah.
a complete detailed fashion and wasn't
Yeah.
like distant in any way. But it's you know, like I told you before with the two teams, the cultures were very different, very different.
Yeah.
And I think that's the underlying ingredient. And then one other ingredient was Shanahan gave us 0 nights off,
Right.
11 o'clock curfew every night. Oh, he did give us Sunday night when we got there,
Hmm.
but nobody comes to Super Bowl until like Wednesday.
Right.
Right. So there's nobody there. It's still going, it's fun and you're out hanging out and whatever, but it's not all the Playboy party, the Maxim party, the
Sure.
Men's Health magazine party, where there's 400 people and everybody's getting off and it's crazy. So anyway,
Yeah.
but that's I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And we appreciate that. Thinking back to your time in the game when you were in the NFL, who would you say was some of the toughest opponents or toughest players you faced?
I've asked that quite a bit, and I've had a pretty decent career in terms of play time over 11 years at 11,000 plays. I probably played 4,000. So getting close to 35% ish to 40%. It's a lot. That's a lot of run because D
Yeah.
lineman would rotate. So I'll tell you, a guy named Steve Wisniewski always pops off as a guard for the Raiders. He was tough as nails. He was a Penn State boy, tough, Christian boy, very Christian, very religious. But when you got on the field with him, he was be ready to go because he's coming and he's going to twist you and just give you a little extra at the end. Just okay, come on, let's go. You want to keep going? Let's go. And he was good. He was all pro, very good. I mean, I would be remiss to say that most everybody that I faced in a regular season game, not preseason, take that off the table. In a regular season game or in the pros, was either a half a step behind a Pro Bowler or a Pro Bowler. So I was, and I'm a guy, I'm a hanger oner, right?
Yep.
But I made plays. I usually would get 20 to 30 plays, and I'd make two or three really good plays, and I did my job, and that was my job. So, and I was proud of that. I didn't necessarily have to be a starter to be proud, or it would have been nice because I love to play and I would have made more money. But who knows? Maybe my career would have been cut short. You never know because of injury and things of that nature. But I played enough. And the other thing I want to mention is the CTE thing.
Hmm.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of guys with Buffalo or the Denver Broncos might have those issues because the whole week of practice, we would never hit live. We would never, like Shula. Remember, I was telling you about
Yeah.
Shula earlier?
Yeah.
We would never practice that way. So the lack of hitting your head helped us at ages now, mid to late 50s, things like that. So I wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. It's a great point. And yeah, and definitely, a lot of good stuff on the field over the days too. And I remember watching you as a kid and grew up here in Buffalo. I'm still
No,
in Buffalo. I just live in Niagara Falls now.
all
So
right.
made the move a little north, but no, it's definitely a lot of good memories back from those teams.
Yeah.
And then Bob, I know you've got another question for Mike.
Yes, I do. And football has been a huge part of your life, and then you retire, you say, okay, what am I going to do next? So you went from battling in the trenches on Sundays, like usual, to building Lotus's champion brittle. And I wanted to ask you, how did you make the leap from football to running a nut and brittle business?
Okay. Well, I'm going to go start from the beginning, and it's going to be
Sure.
it's not going to be a year-long answer, but it's
Sure.
going to cover probably 6 to 8 years.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things that's very difficult is to do something for 2 decades and then they tell you it's over. Okay. And so at that point in time, I didn't have a wife and I didn't have children. So I enjoyed my life I said to myself, I'm going to take 1 year off and I'm going to figure out what I want to do. Because I'll be honest with you, from the time I was 14 years old, when I started tasting that brother rice medicine,
Hmm.
All I wanted to do was be in the NFL.
Right.
And I won my, and so at the end of the day, um, being in the NFL to me was it was everything. So when it didn't happen anymore, the locomotive stopped on a dime. And you know what happens when you stop a locomotive on a dime?
Hmm.
You derail the fuck out of it.
Right.
So I got derailed for a few years. So I don't have a problem talking that I just decided to do whatever I wanted, when I wanted, and how I wanted. And that wasn't a way to live life, right? It was too into decadence and into, too many things and not having any responsibility at 36 years old, thinking, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? What's going on? I got to get my act together. So now I got to say to myself, well, you got to get your act together because you're going to be a dad. And so being a dad was the greatest thing for me, right? And it was a way to say you have to change your life. You have to not live in the past. You're not an NFL player anymore. You're Mike Lodish, and you're a guy that's smart, and you have some money in the bank, and go do something with your life. Figure out, start working. So I literally was playing hockey at the time because I picked hockey back up at 29 years old. I took like 16 years off, or since I was 16, I took off 13 years. So you're 17. Excuse me, I quit when I was 17.
Hmm.
And then 12 years later, I picked it back up. Didn't skate for 12 years. And so long story short, my son helped me to become more mature, right? Because of I had to be, or I'd lose my son. And imagine losing your son, right?
Right.
That's a terrible feeling. And but it can happen. And so I started working for 50 grand. I got a job for a logistics company, had no idea what logistics was. I had no idea what I wanted to do with myself. Because remember, since I was 14, I was paid to play football.
Hmm.
I was at the best high school in the United States almost to play football. Then I got paid to play football by going to college
Right.
and everybody doing everything for me. And then all of a sudden I'm in the NFL now. And now all you got to do is show up at 6:30 in the morning, eat your breakfast, and be ready for special teams at 7:30. I decided 3 years later that I was going to do a peanut brittle company because my mom has the best peanut brittle in the world. And I did that for 4 years. And I used my athletic career to try to parlay that into something. And I grossed about 90 grand in 4 years and on a $16,000 investment. So I made money,
Yeah.
but I couldn't sustain a life on it. And it started to get picked up. So I started to try to sell the recipe to Smuckers, the strawberry jam that we eat,
Hmm.
and things of that nature. And so that's how the candy came about because everybody that ate my mom's peanut brittle at Christmas time said, you need to take this to market. So I did, and I got into Whole Foods and I got it into Bulk Barn Canada. I got it into all the specialty stores in Michigan and Kroger grocery. I was going into Wegmans eventually,
Hmm.
the whole deal. So and then it just became so difficult and so time consuming, and it was only an 8-month candy. So that's the quick short story of the Lodish's Champion Brittle. But it was excellent. It was a lot of fun to do and have fun with.
I mean, do you
Awesome.
still make them though?
Now I can make it on my stovetop, which is better because
Right.
I would use Caro corns. So all the ingredients were the same as the original recipe, this or
Hmm.
I should say the stovetop recipe. But one ingredient that we used in the stovetop that we didn't use in the regular big kettle, and we could make 100,000 pounds of peanut brittle a year, was the syrup was Caro corn syrup with vanilla and salt in it that you buy at the grocery store.
Hmm.
So when I looked to go buy that in bulk, I was going to have to buy 55-gallon drums of it to manufacture my peanut brittle in order to get the cost per container down, right? The division of all the
Hmm.
ounces in the 55 gallons and all that shit,
Yep.
right? So that's all I need a CPA to run. Okay, what's my hardline cost to make a half pound of peanut brittle?
Yep.
Oh, I need all these. I need to feed her all. Feed my. I had a CPA and I fed her all these numbers. She built a spreadsheet for me. said, this is your margin, this is your marketing margin, this is, and so so that part was good. So I had the right financial person in my corner. But I just didn't have it didn't have the legs. It didn't have it needed a Smucker's or a See's Candy or a Nestle to buy it and then to put their chocolate on it and put some Smucker's strawberry jam or something like that and infuse it into a candy or something, right? And it just became overwhelming. And I said, I need health insurance too. So it's time to get into the real world. And that's when I got me a logistics job. And then I just blossomed from there. And I've been in construction for 7 years, and I was in telecommunications for 8 years. So took me about 8, 9 years to deprogram completely and become a civilian.
Got it. Yeah, and of course, one of the things with your business, when you were doing Brittle, how did you know it was worth turning into a company at the time? And what would you say was the most rewarding part of that path that you took?
I didn't know. I just did it. But what intrigued me was everybody said you need to take this to market. It's incredible. I've never tasted this before. So I got influenced that way too. And then I had the money to do it. And I had the people in Detroit that were in the grocery business to help me that were personal friends. And if it wasn't for them, and then I had this other distributor named LaPerry Foods who had
Mhm.
500 trucks and they could distribute it. And we made it right there too. So I had everything in house. I got all
Nice.
their sugar costs. They would buy 53-foot trailers worth of peanuts. So I
Mhm.
would be able to utilize that same cost. So that's how I was able to do it, right? Because
Mhm.
if I were to just buy pounds of peanuts myself and make it out of my house, which they call it a cottage inn food, which
Mhm.
you could do, but you could only make so much, it just wouldn't have been worth it. So I just did it. And what was your second question? Sorry.
Oh, so with doing it as well, how what was the most rewarding part of
The
being part of
rewarding
that
the
business?
rewarding part of it was, I'll tell you, the most rewarding part was when I was on an airplane going to Milan and a young lady sat next to me that was the like VP of marketing for Versace.
Hmm.
And she was going to in Milan, Italy, they have a fashion week, they call it. And I just so happened to be going to teach football, American football in Italy. And I told her my story, and she introduced me to her roommate, who was a Johns Hopkins University journalist major.
Hmm.
And she wrote an article on me for Fortune magazine and Sports Illustrated. So then I started to take off. And then I was like, stuff wasn't selling. They were moving it around, and then you have to credit them back, and it's old, and and in the grocery business, it's very difficult.
Right.
I mean, everything is very difficult, but it's cutthroat. Like they hand it back to you and they say, I want my money back. And you have to give it back to them, or they
Yep.
will never buy your stuff again.
Right.
You'll burn a bridge. So it was rewarding because it was fun and I was putting it together and it was my own thing and I was getting my MBA on my own, right?
Hmm.
Because I made a terrible real estate deal for lost $250,000 years before. And I was like, I got to understand business. I don't understand business. My dad was a surgeon and he played football at Notre Dame and then became a doctor and was a surgeon. He was gone all the time and he didn't know anything about the economics. My mom was running the show, the checkbook, everything. So, so the rewarding part was all of that, just putting it together and building something for my mom and using the fruits of my labor to help me succeed in business and all of those things that I did. But the realization came quick, after about 4 years. It was like, look, you're not making enough money here and you got to make a decision. And that's when I really got
Yeah.
into the workforce. And then I've been in the workforce about 15 years. So that was, I would say that was, I would say 2010, 2008, 2009, I was in the peanut brittle business. And it was
Nice.
starting to go. I mean, my name in football helped me big time. I mean, if it wasn't for football, and I wouldn't have gone to Italy to coach, and then I wouldn't have met that person to get me in a Fortune magazine. So all that free ink that marketing
Yep.
for free,
Yeah.
right? So that was it. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. No, that's a great story about how everything built up and how everything went well. And glad to see you had success with that too. It's
Some,
always good when you
I
do that.
wish I wish it would have flown off the shelves, and because there was a
Sure.
guy that I was working with named he created Pop Daddy popcorn, and I
Hmm.
see it everywhere now, and I'm like, good for him. He's
Right.
a high school classmate, and I'm really happy for him. It's hard though, but he's got a nice niche.
Sure.
Yeah, and everybody loves popcorn, so
Very
for the
cool.
most
Yeah.
part, not everybody, but yeah, I would
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
7 to 8 out of 10 people eat a bucket of popcorn.
Right.
Right, with some butter on it and salt for
Yep.
sure.
Of
Um,
course.
and some cheese, of course, some powdered
Hmm.
cheese, but
Oh
that's
yeah,
so
you gotta
bad
load it
too.
up.
Gotta load it up.
Especially with all that sugar, you gotta put on that shit.
Oh yeah, you got it. You got it. So one thing I miss in Denver, or excuse me, in Buffalo, is I miss Ted's hot dogs.
Oh yeah,
I
they're
I've
still
never
around.
had it. I can't lie,
A
Mike.
char
I
grilled dog with a toasted bun and cold white onions and mustard only, and it's
Hmm.
so good, man. I love
Hey
it.
Yeah.
Tom, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, they're definitely around. In fact, well, the closest Ted's to me now is probably about, I'd say about 25 minutes from me, but they're definitely around and
The
there's still
one that
several
I remember,
locations.
yeah, the one I remember going to was up when I'd go see my buddy in Clarence.
Yeah,
There
that's still
was,
there.
yeah, I'm not sure what was the main road that I would take.
It was on
My,
Transit right by Worley.
that's it. I think it was on Transit. Right.
Yeah, yeah, they just
That's it.
renovated that a few years ago, actually, that place,
Well,
but still there.
that was the only place when I walked in, they had a char broiler with their hot dogs. And that
Hmm.
I love a char broiled hot dog.
Yep, yep, and they still do it.
Now in Detroit, I will say this. If you've ever been here, and if you haven't, and you ever come here, let's say you come watch the Bills play the Lions,
Hmm.
you have to go to Lafayette, Coney Island. And it's
Okay.
a hard facing hot dog that's grilled on a flat griddle,
Hmm.
but it has beanless chili, onions, and mustard. And let me tell you something, magnificent.
That's sounding
Put,
good.
put about ground beef on it, then the chili on it. That's called a
Hmm.
Coney Island special.
Nice.
Now, Ted's hot dogs are good, but they don't hold anything to the Coney. Much like
Right.
a Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia, and
Hmm.
much like a really good basket of 10 wings with blue cheese and carrots and celery,
Hmm.
and they're big wings. And
Oh yeah.
Oh
you get
yeah.
half the drumsticks and half the other ones.
Hmm.
Blue cheese or ranch, Mike?
Oh, you already know the answer.
Fair
There's
enough.
no, there's, I would never fall into that trap ever.
Oh man.
And I was just telling that story yesterday, actually. I took some customers out to lunch to a place called Ford's Garage in
Okay. Yeah, I've
Dearborn,
heard of it.
Michigan, where
Hmm.
the Ford headquarters is. And we had wings, and I said, please bring me 2 blue cheeses,
Hmm.
and then you're going to bring all of them ranch dressing. And I said, I'm having blue cheese. And I said, by the way, let me tell you something. Here, I'll let you get away with it. But if you're in Buffalo and you eat your wings with ranch dressing,
Oh man.
you will be talked about. You'll be talked about, and you'll be questioned
Hmm.
immediately. And they're like, really? I go, yeah, no, it's blue cheese, man. And I said, if you get it with the red Frank's Red Hot and it's done right with the blue cheese and the red hot,
Hmm.
it's pretty tasty.
It's good. It
It's
it
good.
balances each other out.
I think so. I mean, now I'm not gonna lie to you. If I had barbecue chicken wings,
Hmm.
I would have ranch dressing because I think it tastes better with the barbecue sauce.
Okay.
Now, just my pure thing about chicken wings is Frank's Red Hot. That's a
Yeah.
chicken wing. Now you can dress them up with coconut and you can do all kinds of shit with them, but a true chicken wing is the Frank's Red Hot, medium or hot,
Yep.
and you have like real blue cheese.
Hmm.
And it can be like the same, like the ranch buttermilk, but it has to
Hmm.
be the buttermilk blue cheese.
Yeah. It's got to be the good stuff.
It's got to be the buttermilk blue cheese. If
Yep.
you really with the big chunks of blue cheese in it.
Hmm. Yep.
It's
That's
got to be done right though.
It has to be. And the Big Tree Inn does a great job. But I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you. A couple of years ago, I went there and I ordered like 20 wings. It was like $40. I was like, what? These are chicken wings.
Yeah, they've gone up everywhere around here too, because
Yeah.
even up here in Niagara Falls where I live, we have some local places, and I mean we have Duff's up here now too, but at the same time, if I go somewhere, for example, Sammy's, which is one place that's only about 3 miles from my house, and they do some nice wings, and there's a few other places at the same time, but it's like you gotta have the good blue cheese with it, and you gotta
Yeah.
have it that medium or hot, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. They
you
got to be
gotta do it
steamy a
that
little
way.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to be.
Yeah.
And then fingers and face are going to get all nasty. And then you just need like a hot rag
Yep.
to wipe yourself off.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Should
all.
we
No big
tell
deal.
Mike the story about me getting into that fight with the hot dog incident in Cincinnati a few years ago?
Yeah, it's up to you if you want to tell them about it.
Oh my God. Joe, I got into a fight with this really like I want to say like an old school waitress. We were in Covington, Kentucky because we went to the Bills Bengals game a couple years ago. It was the
In
Sunday night game, not
Cincinnati.
not the yeah, in Cincinnati, not the DeMar
Yeah.
Hamlin game, the year after that one.
Got it.
So we went there. It was me, Tom, and my wife Brittany. We were all together, and we went to a place called Skyline Chili, and
Yep.
they're all around the border of Covington and into Cincinnati. And we were coming home from the Buffalo Trace Distillery, and we had a whole hell of a time down there. So we went there for dinner. And they didn't have a menu on the table for me at the time because we already ordered it. And this lady got so fucking pissed at me because I ordered a chili dog in quote because I'm from Long Island. That's what we call it over here. And the next thing you know, the lady comes looking at me like she wanted to just send me to jail. Like that's how bad this was.
But why
And
did
she
she
comes
feel
up.
bad that you were asking her for a chili dog? What about that?
I see. That's what I was trying to figure out because it's like,
Yeah, they call it the
does it?
Coney.
Yeah, they call it the Coney down there, but I didn't know that at the time. Plus, the
Oh, so yeah,
menu was
we call it
taken
with
away from
chili on
me.
it. It's a coney. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I didn't know that at the time. I
Well,
thought it was the same thing.
your
But
first mistakes, you're from Long Island. Yeah.
oh yeah, of course, it's got to be the
And
accent.
then the waitress that decided to yell at you about it. I mean,
Yeah,
she's actually
right.
one of the original two that was with Skyline, so she was there like over 50 years.
Right. So she's the OG telling you how it is.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
telling you the way it
basically.
is.
Well,
Yeah, and
that's
I was
good.
about to go at it with this fucking lady, and then my wife's like, "No, no, don't do that." So
No, but did you enjoy the hot dog?
I did.
All
But
right.
it's funny because it's basically a regular hot dog on a bun, but they put Skyline chili in because obviously that's, it's Cincinnati. And then they
Yeah.
put like cheddar cheese, a good
Mhm.
portion of it. And I had
Oh
like
yeah.
two or three of these, and they're very small, which is very funny in a sense. It's like
Wow.
almost the size of my fist.
Yeah, did she have like
So
mustard and onions on it too?
I don't remember. I think so. But it's funny because they gave me so much shit when I was over there, and then I'm like, all right, it's the Coney dog or whatever the flying fuck it was called at that time. Because again, can you blame me? Because they didn't have a menu, and they only
No.
gave it to me for about maybe 3 to 5 seconds. And as soon as I figured it out, it was gone. And I'm just like, where the hell's the menu? I mean, I didn't want to be rude. I mean, by
Right.
any means. So
Right.
there was no menu, and I
Well,
was
that was
just
kind
like,
of you. That was very nice of you.
I
So you
tried.
held your, we call it holding your water.
Yes.
We didn't want you to go offside there. So you're holding your water on the hard count. So when she came
Basically.
and assaulted you verbally, that's a hard count. So,
I mean, believe me, if I did that in Buffalo when I said chicken wings, I would know for a fact that would just be
oh,
extremely criminal.
you would have had a fight for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Someone would have dropped the gloves.
Yeah, it's on. Let's go. It's on. So,
Yep.
well, guys, it's been an hour. So, if you got any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I gotta spend some time with my lady. So,
Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. No problem. I was gonna say, last question we have for you, before we
yeah,
wrap up is,
sure.
what advice would you give to any kids who want to get into the game of football?
Well, that's kind of an interesting question nowadays because I consider myself one of the last Mohicans that played the game the way it was supposed to be played. And that was they can't pay you enough money to play it the right way for the damage that it will do to your body. And that's the nature of who we are, right? That's the the ethos of who we are to come after you, and we're defensive
Yeah.
players in the National Football League. But I would say to any young kid out there, if you want to play the game, go for it and do it the right way and prepare yourself and try to align yourself with your parents so they understand your love for the game and they'll help you to align yourself with the right coaches, the right programs to help you dive into that, depending on how old you are. But I would probably wait until my kids, gone starts puberty before I let them play because they're changing
Sure.
so much. And it is violent. I'd want to put him in hockey, or I'd want to put him in some kind of contact sport. I think contact sports teach you a lot about life, so I would say to any kid out there, don't be afraid of contact sports. There's a lot more rules out there now that protect you, that help you. So give it your all, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the biggest message is if you love the game, play it and do everything you can to play it, any game that you play or want to play. But remember this, and I've always said this to my son, and sometimes it cost me some time with him because I was adamant about this to teach you. And I think that people are lacking in this. I would get after him about loafing. I would get after him about taking the easy road out. I would get after him about don't be like the other kids, do things different. You're different. That was what I was told when I was younger. So those are the lessons that I learned to try to, and hopefully I would resonate this with young kids today. But now the kids, younger than my son are even more of Gen Z and more of the just a different way of looking at life, and that's how I'm going to say it, right?
Yeah.
That probably tells you I don't agree with much of the principles of the way things are going now, but
Sure.
but I'm still going to be myself, and I'm still going to, be honest and humble and but yet direct and tell you truthfully, but you might not like what you hear. And that's another thing is with children, I would tell them, maybe, I don't want to lie to them. I don't want, and so it's how you say things to the kids and how you keep them motivated. And I don't have that philosophical way of thinking about it. I have a warrior way of thinking about it. And I have a you're never going to beat me way of thinking about it. That what does that automatically mean? That means I'm already going to outwork you, right? So I'm already
Mhm.
going to don't worry about motivating me. I'm too motivated. I'm gonna drive you crazy, right? Whereas that's where I get in with my son and the kids today is I don't see the motivation. I don't see, but then again, I come from a different era and I've gone to therapy about this actually, and I've gone because I didn't understand why I thought this way. And it's very simple is that you have to open up your mind and look at everything, but you can still be the guy to say this isn't the way to do it, and you just have to sometimes do it in a different fashion. And that's very difficult because that locomotive stops on a dime, and we all know what that means. You derail. And so coming from getting yelled at, getting motivated that way, getting this wooden spoon, getting the yardstick, getting the switch on the tree, it's totally different game. And so I don't want to have to play politics with kids. I want to tell you how it is and the way it is. And unfortunately, like I had an incident with a guy at work. I asked him, why did you put that generator out there? You didn't have a PO. And I said, I've told you this multiple times. Why do I have to tell you this again? I said, I get it. I probably would have done the same to put it out, but I know I would have asked for a PO. I mean, okay, but you fucked up, dude. And what are you doing? I was the thing that broke his back. He's 24 years old, so he's of that Gen Z.
Sure.
And that, well, I don't need to do this because I'm Nick Mooney or I'm Nick, whoever this guy is, right? And he took off 2 days of work because he was overstressed. He thought he hated it and didn't and said I was the reason why he did that. So
Wow.
whatever, I don't care. I don't care because if you're not, I'm in the construction rental business. So I go deal on trailers with guys with hard hats. And these particular individuals are very difficult sometimes to deal with, right?
Mhm.
These are guys getting up at 3:30 in the morning, throwing mortar around, walking over steel, just like rough life, man. Rough
Yeah.
life. And they're not trying to hear it. And you got to figure out a way to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll take my chances in that environment because it's more like my mindset.
Mhm.
I don't think I could do a 9 to 5 job at like an automotive tier one supplier to the OEM, to GM or Ford, where you wear your dress shoes and your dress slacks and your collared shirt or your polo and have your name tag dangling and you hit
Right.
the unlock door and you go to your cube and you get your work done. And no, I'm not that guy. I want to be out in the woods. I want to be out in the field. I want to be out. And so to say this to young children is aspire to do what you aspire to be the people that you want to be. And just remember though, even in today's day and age, when they think you're more entitled, you need to put effort out that you would not even recognize in order to be very successful. And if you don't do that, you will be mediocre at best. You might get by. And you know what? I would say to you, if you're okay with mediocrity, hey, I love you for telling me that. You're telling me the truth. But guess what? I don't want you around me because you're like a virus. You wear off on people. And I don't want to be that guy. I like being the energetic guy. I like being the guy. That's who I am. That's what I'm built. And I'm okay with that. But you got to polish it. You do, and it takes some time, and it takes some professional help too. Sometimes I'm talking about my mentality and coupling it
Yeah.
with football for so long,
Yep.
right? And then stopping that. So back to the question, what would you say to the kids? 110% effort, 110% of the time, and love what you do, or you're not going to be any good at it. It's that simple. Because if you're halfway into it, you're mediocrity, right? You're mediocre. You're not giving your 100% attention.
Right.
Can't do it.
Yeah. And that's great words to live by,
I think,
with
I
what you
mean,
said.
and just in anything in
Yeah.
life, right? You,
Yeah.
you don't have to make all the money in the world, but if you're giving everything you have, you get up and you're going for what you're capable of,
Mhm.
and you make $80,000 a year, I love you. Great.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah.
as shit, Mike. Great. That's the guy I want to
There you
hang
go.
out with,
Yeah.
right? You can make 500,000, make 1 million a year. I don't care. As long as you're happy and you're not shoving it in anybody's face if you make that kind of money and you're not hurting people, you know. And I think Josh Allen does a great job of that for the amount of money he does. He's an extremely humble young man and he gives back and he's given back to Charlie Kirk and the family. And
Yeah.
doesn't matter your political allegiance. I'm just talking about the humanitarian part of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's all. It's just a
Absolutely.
humanitarian part. And he has the means to do that, right? He has
Mhm.
the means to put $1 million in a trust fund for Charlie's two babies, right?
Yeah.
And if he's got 100 million in the bank, what's 2 million? It's 2%.
Right.
What isn't that math? To help somebody out and do something, that'll pay him in dividends in later in life.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Always good to pay
So
it
listen,
forward.
yeah, listen, it's a little after 9. I don't mean to cut it off, but I'm going to
No,
shut
you're
it down
good.
myself.
Yeah,
So
good man.
I
Yeah,
really
no
had a great
problem.
time with you guys, and thanks so
Same
much.
here. Same here. We appreciate it, and you're
Yeah,
welcome to
my
come back
hat's off to you.
anytime.
Yeah,
And
no
same
problem.
to you as well. Have
Yeah,
a great.
anytime. Yeah,
Absolutely.
anytime.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks
just
again.
Thank you
just
very
message
much.
me on Facebook if you guys want to talk about a game or something that I went to, and just to talk about the experience out there. And if we can put video clips up, maybe I'll do video clips and we'll show it to people. And that might be kind of cool for your podcast or
Yeah.
Oh
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Who
We can
knows?
definitely look at
So,
that.
all
So,
right, we'll
that would be
we'll talk to
awesome.
you guys. Be
all
good,
right.
man. All the
You
best to
too.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike. Take care.
Cheers, boys.
You
Happy
too.
happy holidays. Bye.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. Yeah, bye.